Okay, so we have dealt with the Unit 1, basics of electrochemical energy conversion and storage. Then we moved to Unit 2, where we had seen primary batteries, details of primary batteries, how they are different from the secondary batteries, what are the options available, and what are the features, components, merits, fabrication, etc. So I skipped Unit 3. We'll deal with the secondary batteries after fifth unit. So we will move to the fourth unit. So as you see, it is on supercapacitors. So I've already transmitted the content for this unit and the fuel cells. Hope all of you have received it and you would have gone through. So I'm sure it will hasten you to listen to me. So these are the content that we will be looking up. Introduction to supercapacitor, types of supercapacitor, Ragone plot, similarities and the difference between the batteries and the supercapacitors, and what are EDLC and redox capacitor or Faraday capacitor, how one can construct and evaluate their performances, and what are the metrics for the supercapacitors and the recent materials towards the supercapacitors. So these are the content that we will be looking up. So you would have seen that already. As you know, this is a sister device to the batteries, commonly known as electrochemical energy systems or electrochemical power sources. We have three prominent electrochemical energy sources: batteries, supercapacitors, and the fuel cells. So we have enough seen the batteries introduction. So what are the parameters? What are the merits? What are the features of batteries? And now we are going to see supercapacitors. It's a sister device. And the fuel cells are energy converters, as we know. We will be learning more on the fuel cells maybe in the next unit. So next two, three slides are already known slides. So to just draw nearer to you the supercapacitors, I am showing you again. So this is a Ragone plot or Ragone plot, which gives all the electrical energy sources. And we all know that, so the Ragone plot or Ragone plot is a plot of energy density versus power density on a logarithmic scale, or specific energy versus specific power on a logarithmic scale. We have already learned that there are some information you can get from this Ragone plot or Ragone plot. So the basic information is, depending on your application, which energy source that you want to select, you can very much use this Ragone plot to select the same. So for example, if your intended application requires or demands a huge energy or energy density or specific energy, it's not the supercapacitors or the batteries, it is going to be the fuel cells. Because we will see in the next unit, the energy density or the specific energy of the fuel cell depends on the barrels of fuel and oxidant that you have. Larger the barrels of the fuel that you have, larger the energy density you are going to get. So typically it ranges from 3 days to 1 week of energy density. So if any fuel cell system is connected to your home, so typically it should be able to power for more than a day, at least 2 3 days. At least 2 3 days. Whereas your intended application requires a momentary power, huge power momentarily, few seconds, millisecond, microsecond, or minutes, or seconds. It's not fuel cell, not even battery, it's going to be only your capacitor. Will serve the purpose. So if intended application requires a 10 kilowatt of power, maybe for 1 minute, so neither battery nor fuel cell will be able to supply the power, that much power. Is going to be your EDLC or redox capacitor. Whereas you require moderate energy density and moderate power, maybe for powering your smartphone or your laptop or camcorder, then batteries will be fine. Batteries will be fine. But still, so where even in the mobile phone or laptop or any other consumer electronics, to start the system, It may not be just powered by the batteries. You may also require auxiliary power, so that can be supported by the supercapacitors. So, so this Ragone plot or Ragone plot is such an important plot. You will be able to select which electrochemical energy system is required. And we have already seen these numbers. These are all charging, discharging hours or time. So the ratio between the energy density and the power density is nothing but charging time or discharging time. Okay, so whatever per watt per kg, so watt will cancel out, kg also will cancel out. You will end up at hours. So it so happen that fuel cells will be able to power for long hours. So depending on the barrels of the fuel that you have to power to the fuel cell plant, so it will be able to power 24 hours to 3 days to 7 days. Whereas supercapacitors and typically electrolytic capacitors will be able to power very high, as high as 10,000 watt or kilowatts, 10 kilowatts. So about 30 seconds or 35 milliseconds, such a huge power can be obtained. So the system that you are going to use should capable of delivering the required power and required energy. This is another version. These another versions. Okay. So capacitor could be able to deliver tens of thousands of 10,000s of watt power. Very huge power. Okay. So capacitors, supercapacitors in between. You see that there is among the capacitors, they could be able to give very high power density, supercapacitors moderate, batteries very low, fuel cells very low, very low power densities in terms of fuel cells. That is one of the reasons why it does not become so popular compared to batteries. At least the batteries could be able to give some power. So lithium battery able to deliver at least so maybe hundreds of tens of watts, if not hundreds of watts. Fuel cells once less than 100, less than 10 watts per kg, very low power densities. But capacitors or condensers, as the physicists call, could be able to deliver huge power, very high power. So before we go into the supercapacitors or capacitor, so electrochemical capacitors, so let us see what is typical condenser or capacitor mean, otherwise known as parallel plate capacitors. Capacitors are parallel plate capacitors. So you will encounter these use of these capacitors wherever you have very high moment of inertia associated with any system or device, or wherever you have resistance. For example, AC compressor, air conditioning compressor, and ceiling fan or table fan, or wherever you have a motor. So to start, which is at rest, in order to overcome the huge moment of inertia and a huge resistance, it's not the normal power that is coming from the grid will be sufficient or from the battery will be sufficient. You need to have auxiliary power more than the required power to start. Or for example, electric vehicles or trains, any devices which is powered. To start such devices, you require more than the running power. That's how we will be seeing more on this later. So what is capacitor or condenser or parallel plate or capacitors? So this is having two conductors held with an insulating matrix. Typically, it's a dielectric. We need to have a conducting plates. It may be aluminum or titanium or carbon electrodes or any other such conductors. And if you sandwich with an insulator, typically a dielectric, and it is done, and you can term this device as a capacitor or condenser. This is the symbol or a circuit symbol used to characterize capacitor or condenser, as you know. So I've introduced two terminologies here, capacitor, this is dielectric versus insulator. What is dielectric? What is insulator? Can anyone respond?
So dielectric and insulator.
Okay. Dielectrics and insulators are same, one and are same. Anybody will disagree with this, or all of you are agree with this, or can give better better than this explanation or aspect?
Sir,
Is there any difference? Is there any difference between the dielectric and insulator?
sir,
Whether
dielectric
all
and
whether all the
insulator that can be
electrics are
polarized.
dielectric or vice versa, or is there difference? Yes, please. Someone responding.
Sir, dielectrics they can be polarized. Sir. These are insulators that can be polarized.
Yes. Insulators cannot be polarized. The insulator that can be polarized is known as dielectric material. This is a rubber. The surface of this pencil is made up of wood. Okay. So this is made up of plastic. Wood is an insulator. Wood is an insulator. But you take some oxides, barium titanate, and wood. Wood is an insulator. I am sure all of you will agree with me. I will say wood is not a dielectric. Barium titanate is an insulator. I would say it is a dielectric material because wood cannot be polarized, but barium titanate can be polarized. It means, so any material application of electric charges on that, if the charges can be held, all negative charges in one direction, all the negative positive charges in another direction, such materials can be called as dielectric materials. They are not conductor, they are insulator, but the ions present in that material can be polarized by subjecting to an electric field. Such materials are dielectric materials. Materials which cannot be polarized under the influence of electric field are termed as insulators. Typical insulator, wood. Typical example is wood. Maybe this rubber also. Okay, an insulator. But this plastic or some polymer, if they are conductors, if the ions are possible to orient, then they are dielectric. They will not show the connectivity and the conductivity, but the charges can be polarized. And you take any two conducting plates, maybe titanium, aluminum, or if you are affordable, gold, silver, platinum, and sandwich with not insulator, but sandwich with a dielectric, and subject that device to an electric field, the charges, the ions present in the dielectric can be held apart. And this charge separation having electrostatic force of attraction is the basis for holding the charges in capacitor or condensers. And you term it as a capacitor or condenser as physicists call. And typically it is known as parallel plate capacitor or parallel plate condensers because two plates are sandwiched together. with an with a dielectric matrix. The simplest dielectric matrix or insulator is air. Simplest dielectric material or the insulator is air. Depending on the type of the dielectric material that you have between the parallel plates, it is possible to tune the charge that can be stored in this device. A separate field has evolved with this. How the charge is held, how the energy is stored in the capacitor, parallel capacitor or condensers. This is how. This is how. You take any two metals, let's assume titanium metal, another titanium metal. You sandwich it with a dielectric material, maybe a barium titanate or any other polymer or any other material that can be polarized. That can be polarized. Not the insulator, not like wood. It can be a mica or some polymer or any ion conducting, not ion conducting, having ions, charges. Then now you take one plate connected to a one lead, positive terminal of a voltage source. Another plate you connect to the negative terminal of the voltage source. When I say voltage source, so there can be a flow of current also. If there is any voltage difference, there will be a flow of the current as you know. So now both the metal plates are connected to the voltage source. What will happen? This is battery is having a very large voltage. If it is a lithium-ion battery, at least if it is a charged lithium-ion battery, it will have 4.2 voltage. And this is parallel. Now the circuit is complete, no voltage, and there is a difference in the voltage. There can be a flow of charges. There can be a flow of the charges. What will happen? So the voltage that is fed to the device or this condenser will make this dielectric to orient, or the ions in the dielectric to orient. All the negative charges will orient in one direction, like this. All the positive charges in the dielectric will try to orient or will try to accumulate in one end. There is a creation of double layer of charges. How long it will hold? How long it like this will move? If all the ions are held like this, or until the voltage is equal to the voltage of the battery. This charging of the device will happen. Till then it will happen. Now you discontinue or disconnect the voltage source. Now if you disconnect the voltage source from the capacitor, what do you expect? You can respond. Cannot immediately change, but the current can immediately change, or that device, the charged capacitor, can momentarily supply the power or current or you charge instantaneously. So depending on the parallel plate size or type of the parallel plates, conductor and the dielectric, the amount of charge that can be. That is why, so whenever you have a capacitor, when it is charged with a voltage source, if you remove, suddenly, soon if you try to touch the terminals, you will encounter huge shock. Huge shock. Because with your hand, so it undergoes discharge, momentary discharge. momentary discharge. What is the basis for this charge separation or holding of the charges? It's a simple electrostatic force of attraction. And we know that both similar charges opposes. Positive, positive opposes. Negative, negative opposes. But when we have positive and negative, there is an electrostatic force of attraction. This is the natural. So this electrostatic force of attraction present between the negative charges and positive plates and the negative plates is the basis for storing charges or storing the energy in such devices called capacitors. What is the basis for storing the charges in the battery? The basis for storing the energy charges in the battery is the redox reaction. There is a definite Faradaic reaction. And it can be oxidation reduction reaction, intercalation, deintercalation reaction, depending on the type of the battery. Lead becomes lead 2 plus. Lead 4 plus becomes lead 2 plus. Or zinc becomes zinc 2 plus. Oxygen becomes O2 minus. Or manganese becomes, that is zinc air battery. And in the case of a primary battery, zinc becomes zinc 2 plus, manganese 4 plus becomes manganese 3 plus. There is a Faradaic reaction, but here no Faradaic reaction, but only electrostatic force attraction. That holds the charges. That holds the charges, and it can be utilized. Momentarily, it can be utilized. So immediately the capacitor can discharge by giving off huge current. And if you know the potential, you multiply both of them, you are going to get power. Huge power. And this serves the purpose wherever huge power is required. Whether it is a AC air conditioning compressor, or even in your mobile, there is a capacitor. In your laptop, there is a capacitor. Or fan, wherever motor is there, whether big or small, to start with, you require a capacitor. How much it can hold can be quantified. The charge that is being stored in the capacitor or parallel plate condenser can be quantified, and the quantity is known as capacitance. And the quantity is known as capacitance, typically expressed in farads. And conventional parallel plate capacitors, magnitude of the capacitance is so less, and quite often it is referred in microfarads and picofarads, sometimes millifarads. What is capacitance? The mathematical expression is C is equal to Q by V. C is capacitance, Q is charge, and V is the voltage. The amount of charge that is being stored across the conducting plates in a 1 unit of voltage is known as capacitance. Or very specifically, the amount of charge that a capacitor can store per unit of voltage across its conducting plates is known as capacitance. So it's Coulomb by volt. Q is charge is Coulomb, we know. Ampere second. Voltage. Ampere second by voltage is full F farads. And the magnitude of the conventional capacitor is so less, and it is quite often it is microfarads, millifarads, picofarads. So 10 power minus 12, 10 power minus 6, or 10 power minus 3. And if compared to picofarads, microfarads, farad is very large. Now with the introduction of supercapacitor or the development of supercapacitors, the capacitance of the capacitor has increased from microfarads, millifarads, picofarads to farads. So I can name several material could be able to deliver the hundreds of farads. Think of picofarad 10 power minus 12 or microfarad 10 power minus 6. Now we are talking about hundreds of farads. How many orders of magnitude has been increased with the invention of new materials towards storage of charges? So this is another mathematical expression. One can get the capacitance, or one can manipulate the capacitance. C is capacitance. And E0 is, or they are typically known as dielectric constant, measured in farads per meter. A is area of the plate or the conducting plates, and D is the separation, distance between the two parallel plates. There are three quantities you can manipulate in order to change or increase or decrease the capacitance of a capacitor. You have three options. You can manipulate the area of the plate that is being used to construct a parallel plate capacitor. It is similar to the variable resistors. It is possible to fabricate variable capacitors, very much available. Use of complete area here, you get large capacitance or large storage of charges in this case. You reduce the area of, you'll be having a reduced storage of charges. So variable capacitor, like a variable resistors, it is possible to construct if you manipulate the area of the conducting plates. You can also manipulate the distance, how closer or how farther. Based on that, you will have amount of charge that is being stored. You cannot touch the plate, it will short circuit. You cannot keep apart. The electrostatic force of attraction will be very, very weak, and you will have to compromise in such a way that you will be able to increase or decrease the capacitance. According to this mathematical equation, the capacitance, the amount of charge that is being stored in the parallel plate capacitor is inversely proportional to space, the distance. Lower the distance, larger the capacitance. You cannot touch the plates. Though you have parallel, you have a dielectric. Manipulate the thickness of the dielectric, you are going to change the capacitance. Alter the thickness of the dielectric, you are going to change the capacitance or the amount of charge that is being stored. Then the third option available is you can change the medium or the dielectric medium. Okay, so this way also you can change the distance, or you change the material, dielectric material. The material having large dielectric constant will be able to provide or could be able to store huge charge or energy compared to the material having low dielectric. Material having high dielectric constant could be able to store large charges, large energy. Material having less dielectric constant will able to deliver or charge or store the charges very less. Can someone explain why it can be so? Why the material having a good dielectric property can be able to store more charges compared to the material having less dielectric? Am I audible?
Is it because
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, throw some light. Material having large electric constant could be able to store more charges or more energy. Why?
it can be polarized more heavily?
Yeah, it's as simple as that. An effective orientation of the charges can be held, can be can have if the dielectric constant is very large. Compared to air, which is having low relative permittivity, just one. And you compared to air, if you have a ceramics, for example, silicon carbide or mica or any oxide, maybe barium titanate, very large difference. It is possible to manipulate. You see here, air dielectric constant is only one, relative permittivity, otherwise known as. Whereas ceramics, how many orders? 3 orders increase in the dielectric constant. Literally, you will be increasing at least 3 orders of charge storage if you just move from air dielectric into ceramics. Mica, another form of silicon family. Paraffin oil, still better than the air. Okay, so the take home point is, in order to increase or have a larger energy storage or charge storage in a parallel plate capacitor or condensers, you need to have dielectric material having large dielectric constant. So this dielectric constant and the dielectric strength are related. Excuse me, this should have been volt per meter only, not MIL. Volt per meter. So dielectric constant is the ratio between the dielectric strength in air to that of the dielectric strength in any material. And this dielectric strength is nothing but the amount of voltage required until the material can withstand the voltage. Obviously, so these oils, mica, compared to glasses, they undergo breaking or damage at lesser voltage compared to glasses. That's what it means. So dielectric strength, larger the dielectric strength, larger the charge storage we can have it. And it is a dimensionless quantities. Dielectric constant is a dimensionless quantity, whereas the dielectric strength is volt per meter. But we will have to compromise. So depending on the dielectric constant, the size of the capacitor also will be. If you are looking for increased voltage, you may have a bulky capacitor, maybe glasses, load, but very less voltage, very small, you can have a large capacitor, but voltage will be low. Maybe for example, ceramics. So there is a compromise. So if you want to have a more charge storage, go for ceramics, but voltage will be less. If you want to have a large voltage, go for low dielectric constant materials like glasses, but you'll have to make a large capacitor. Large capacitor. So I think I have some numerical problem, 2-3 numerical problems. I hope you would have seen this. So if you have calculators or pen, pencil, paper, you please take down and try to work out a simple numerical problem based on those mathematical formula. C is equal to epsilon 0 epsilon into A by D. A parallel plate capacitor consists of two plates with a total surface of 100 centimeter square. What will be the capacitance in picofarads? Already some information is given of the capacitor if the plate separation is just 0.2 centimeter. And the dielectric medium is air. And whose relative permittivity is 8.85 into 10 power minus 12. A simple problem. Please try to work out and give me some number in picofarads. Please try to work out. So this formula we'll be using, simple mathematical formula. C is equal to epsilon 0 epsilon A by D. Since in the estimation only air is given as a dielectric material or dielectric medium, this E is not required. So it is only epsilon A by D. A is 100 centimeters square. A is 100 centimeters square. Yes. And distance is 0.2 centimeter. So both are same units. Epsilon is unitless, 8.85 10 power minus 12. How much it can be? Some number, please. (8.85) into 10 power minus 12 into 100 divided by 0.2.
4.4 into 10 power minus 9.
Yeah, so
4.425.
Okay, so roughly 4.25 picofarads. Yes. So there cannot be simple. We remove that. So epsilon A by D, epsilon is 8.85. A is 100 centimeter square and D is 0.2 centimeter. Take proper unit and you get 44 picofarads. 44 picofarads. Same way, a Lexan, a dielectric material, has the dielectric constant 2.9 and is sandwiched between the two metal plates with a distance of 2.05 centimeter. The length and width of the parallel plates are 5.3 and 6.7 centimeter respectively. Estimate the capacity of this capacitor. And E0 is 8.85 into 10 power minus 12. Same formula, you'll have to use it. Here, not only air, in addition to that, there is a dielectric material, Lexan, some polymer, having a dielectric constant 2.9 is given. So, E0 epsilon A by D. Epsilon 0 is there, epsilon is given 2.9. A is not directly given, it is given anyway, and D is given. So 5.3 into 6.7 will be able to get the area, and the distance is 2.05. So 8.85 into 10 power minus 12 into 2.9 into 5.3 into 6.7 centimeter square divided by 2.05. Some number you will get, maybe again in microfarads or picofarads. Some number, anybody got?
So 4.4 picofarad.
Yes, almost similar. Only difference is 2.9 dielectric constant is given. And the area is, instead of 100 centimeter square, it's roughly about 30 centimeter square. So eventually the capacitance will be near to that of the previous problem. The simple one. I told you that. So when you try to touch the charged capacitors, a momentary shock you can expect, because with your terminals, with your hand terminals, it discharges the capacitor discharges immediately. So it's something like related to that. Assume that you have a 12-volt capacitor bank and you touch with your right hand to the negatively and with your left hand to the positive. You are touching your capacitor. Assume that this is a capacitor, I am touching like this. The resistance of the path from your right hand through your body to your right hand is how much ohm? Very huge ohm. 1000, more than 2 lakh ohms. So it means, so I am touching like this, and the resistance of my body is this much ohms. Calculate the current being passed through your body. Very simple problem. How much current your body can feel if you touch a capacitor having a voltage, 12 voltage. Some number, please.
$60 milliampere.
60 milliampere.
No, sir. I got for microampere, sir.
Very, very low it might be. Very, very low.
60 microampere, sir.
Yes. Because resistance is so very high. You'll have to use a Ohm's equation. Now, if you have a 12-volt capacitor bank and you short the leads with a conductor that has resistance of now very, very low, more than 2 lakh resistance to now 0.2 ohms. Now you estimate the current that can be discharged from the battery as a capacitor and see what will happen.
Now it's 60 amperes, sir.
Very high. You will burn the terminals, in fact. You will burn the terminals. Because so the resistance is very low and the capacitor can suddenly discharge and can heat up and the terminals can be burnt. Okay, so the capacitor discharges momentarily, very huge power or current. So you can estimate how much is the power it can discharge. 12 volt and it is 60 ampere. In such a small capacitor bank, this much power can be obtained. So we'll stop now. Maybe we'll continue more on this record later. If anybody would like to add anything more on this, want to make some comments, clarification, addition, suggestions, you can do so.
Sir, in this problem, last problem, it is given that high heat dissipation will be there, sir. If the heat dissipation is more, there will be high resistance, no, sir.
No resist, not very high resistance, then only it discharges. Because of high discharge, you get the heat, not the other way around. If the resistance are huge, there is no much discharge. There is no flow of the current or the power. Okay? Because huge current or power is discharged, so the terminals get heat. Because there is no option to be utilized that much power, so it gets heated up. Okay. Anything else?
Sir,
So we are still in physics only. So parallel plate capacitor, we have not gone into the supercapacitors. So maybe next class you will see how it is different from the supercapacitor. Yes, please, Nurul.
Sir, is there any
sir,
possibility
if we have more
internal
than
marks?
One of you.
sir,
Yes.
if we have more than two plates of capacitor, what is the formula, sir?
We have a series and a parallel plate capacitor condensers. I'm coming to that. I have a problem. Don't worry. So
Okay,
we have series connection and parallel connections in the batteries and the resistors, right? Similar way, if you connect in
yes, sir.
series and if you connect in parallel, whether the capacitance going to be increaser or decreaser, or voltage going to be increased or decreased, I have a problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So Nafis.
Yes, sir. Sir, it's been almost 2 weeks, sir. Is there any possibility to get our internal marks?
Oh, so everybody are in same situation. I have not
I'm sorry,
connected.
sir,
Maybe
to
this
ask.
week I will try. Yeah, because very too much fear. Everybody, teacher, student, irrespective of the age. I am not corrected. Let me admit that. Maybe this week I will try.
Okay, sir. It's okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll stop now. Anybody else want to share anything? Okay, thank you. Take care. Keep safe.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
See you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.